our own place in the world and how we relate to it. But today, as the president just said, the information space is changing. There is an ongoing revolution of information consumption in the way that the digital environment is bringing it to us. And it has really increased the importance of the information in our everyday lives. If we just think about how much we and our people around us spent looking for information on a smartphone, it is one of these new examples of how information space changes. And of course, in that, we see increased battle of the ideas in the information space. We see disinformation. We see hybrid warfare, as we recently are seeing on the borders on eastern part of Europe, where one of the predominant fight is happening exactly in the information space. So in my short talk, I'll try to define what takes it to be successful in strategic communication and what are the key building blocks to do so. First, I'd say it is important to have a Stratcom mindset. And by understanding Stratcom mindset, I say that understanding how information is channeled, how information goes into the human brain. And I think key element there is going away from the idea that only what people say or write or read is information. When you look from the research perspective, the key elements of information are actions and experiences. So people with a Stratcom mindset have understanding how actions and the experiences sent by these actions to the people would translate in the way they would understand the reality, and how more typical ways of information like spoken and written would, or images, would support that kind of communication. Second element, an important building block, is have information space understanding. It's like for a general that goes into the battle without understanding the terrain, he cannot be successful. So strategic communications campaign cannot be successful without understanding of the information space environment. And these days, it is not just understanding what the traditional media are writing or showing. It is much more than that. It is about understanding what happens in the digital world. It is more than just mere listening of the social media sentiment. It is about understanding how people are organized in different echo chambers or information bubbles in the online environment. How people are seeing information in different channels in the online environment, being to these peer-to-peer messaging apps, being it the video channels like YouTube, or being it social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So also very important is to understand what kind of other actors are there, like botnets, malign actors, state and non-state, infiltrating in your environment. And only when you understand that picture, you can really be able, as a general, to be successful in that effort to deliver your message across. The third key building block is understand the audience. It is a simplistic way to say, okay, we know the audience. But the way we research and look at the way strategic communication is delivered, we see that in many cases, we are not having an in-depth understanding of an audience. And of course, everybody does opinion polling. But opinion polling is like a weather forecast. It takes a measure whether it rains or sun is shining today. It doesn't give us a deeper causes of why in the summer it's always sunny And in the winter, here in my parts of the world, it's always snowing. And that is where we have to take the audience understanding, the deeper causes for the way people perceive or are interested to believe in a particular set of things. So that is also a set of measures to have a deeper understanding of an audience. The next, and it is still a very tricky area, is measurement of the effect of your message. Of course, many say, okay, I had so many clicks on my message, therefore I'm effective. Well, that is very far from true. It is that the fact that you've had a reach, but whether that reach has really delivered what you were after in the first place is a big question that many times we don't have yet an answer. So having a specific mechanisms that are able to measure, have you had a success? Did your Stratcom campaign really deliver a behavior change, an effect that you sought to do so is really important. And do that beyond the pure metrics of clicks is really important. Next piece that I want to talk about is clearly that we have to have a unity of effort. In many governmental messages that we've seen, one of the key elements is, do we have a single narrative? Are we able to deliver a single narrative? So in a way, it is something, a kind of school book truth for any strategic communicator. Yet in a practical life, it is so difficult to achieve because in a government, in a nation, there are so many voices. There are so many voices in the government. There are agencies. Agencies tend to have different opinions. They might have different agendas. But yet, if you want to have a successful Stratcom campaign on key narratives, key messages, there has to be a unity. So there has to be a structure underlying that process beneath the government that enables ability to deliver consistent, coherent, and unified narrative. And as I've said, much easier said than done. And therefore we say invest into the capabilities within the government, invest in the structure, but also invest in the processes, making sure that everybody works in the same direction. Of course, another difficulty in this type of the information environment that we are facing today is the fact that everyone is a communicator. And in the military, there is this, what we called is a strategic sergeant effect. And that is when somebody down in the ranks, which is not in a traditional way considered to be the communicator or the one responsible for communication, is delivering a tweet that is undermining your Stratcom message. So there have to be the ways that you enable also these kind of people lower down the command chain or the government hierarchy to be on the same tune as you are. Because for what we've seen in the world and in modern information environment, there is going to be someone down in this chain of command, chain of hierarchy that is going to communicate, because people do that these days, even inadvertently so. So to take kind of an approach that not only kind of takes that into account, but also make sure that these people are buying into the strategic narrative that you're delivering. And when they communicate, even to a very, very small circle sometimes of their friends and peers, they do deliver the same communication. So to have that throughout the structure. And ultimately, the information revolution is not over. Like right now, our information consumption habits are driven by the smartphone and the way smartphone operates. It is going to change over the next years, 5 to 7 years. We believe that information environment will be increasingly affected by the new technologies, new devices. Augmented reality and virtual reality are going to have increasingly significant place in the way we process and consume information. So for any strategic communications entity, ability to keep a pace with these technological changes is important. So if you want to really be successful, you cannot be successful in the information space without having a very good technological skill set in your team. The augmented reality expertise, the big data experts that are able to create your communication data-driven, data-based, the artificial intelligence experts are key components of the success of the contemporary and the future strategic campaigns, because that is what is really transforming and revolutionizing this field of communication. These are these technologies, because in a way we are getting the possibilities that we've never seen in human history. And we have to really make sure that we are on top of using these new technologies to defend our values, to defend our information space against malign actors of all sorts, but also empower our message. And it will not be possible in next few years to be successful in this area of communication without having in-depth expertise in artificial intelligence, big data, and some of the newest information technologies that are incoming. So to sum up, strategic communications are going to grow and it's important. That is becoming a key battlefield of the ideas, the key battlefield between the nations and different actors. And there is no question that you will have crises that will face you, in particular in this information environment. And most of the crises, the key component of those crises will be the information battle. So it is not a question whether you do strategic communication. It is the question whether you are able to deliver in a time when it will be needed. And if you don't do strategic communication will do you. So I hope that will not be the case for anyone in the audience. And so prepare, think about it, and deliver. Thank you very much.